My name's Joe. I'm from Australia. I'm British by birth, and I'm an Australian citizen. I've lived in Australia the past 10 years. I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer in May of 2025. It was stage 3. I had a 5 centimeter tumor that had grown through the wall of my bowel and was involving some of the lymph nodes. I decided from my own personal experiences that I didn't want to initially proceed with conventional treatment, radiotherapy, chemotherapy. I was open to surgery, but they said that the surgery would be particularly complicated and carry heightened risk. And so I decided that I wanted to try some adjunct therapies and some off-label repurposed drugs and supplements before I proceeded with any of those options. And we gave that a go for a few months with the plan of re-imaging after that time to see if it had any effect. I just finished my PhD at the time. I launched straight into my postdoctoral career. I was working really, really hard, traveling around Australia and internationally to go to conferences. I just got back from a conference in Madrid, and that's when I had the re-imaging, and the cancer had turned out to be much more aggressive than we had anticipated and had spread to my liver and become stage 4. And at that point, I was all of a sudden in quite a lot of extreme pain. They said that I was almost completely surgically obstructed and they had to do an emergency stoma. But they said that they could no longer operate on the tumor, and that if I did proceed with conventional chemotherapy and radiotherapy, that it would only buy me more time. It wouldn't be curative. So I was basically completely out of options. And at that point, we got contacted by a friend of a friend. It was a gentleman whose wife had been treated at ChemoThermia. He had saw our story on social media and had reached out to us and basically said, my wife had stage 4 cancer. She had tumors all through her body, and she came and got treatment here at ChemoThermia and had a really, really good response and is now in complete remission. And I said, wow, that sounds incredible. We made a consultation with Dr. Slocum. It was a Thursday. He said, can you come here for the Monday? I said, I'll be on the plane. We came straight over. I really didn't have anything to lose. And when I arrived here and I stopped working, all of a sudden it hit me like a wall how sick I actually was. I was very, very sick for the first week, and I was in incredible pain. I was taking, I think, over 8 different painkillers in a day, just constantly taking painkillers. I was on some very strong opioids like morphine, endone, tapentadol. I was taking celecoxib and also things like paracetamol, ibuprofen. I was having 2 hot water bottles, one on the front and the back, and I was sitting in the bath about 3 times an hour just to take the weight off of my tumor in my rectum, and I was still in just so much pain, debilitating pain. I was really, really shocked at how quickly I turned around from the treatment here. After the first week and a half, 2 weeks, I already felt better. And Dr. Slocum said when I first arrived, we will have you off these painkillers, in a month and a half. But we'll have you off most of these painkillers. And I just couldn't believe that was possible, the amount of pain that I was in. But I can say that after about a month and a half, 2 months, I was completely off all of those painkillers that I'd been taking for a couple of months at that point. And I now am on no painkillers and I have 0 pain. I'd lost about 30 kilos in weight. And I've since put on about 25 kilos. I feel great. I feel back to normal. I've had a really, really good response to the treatment. At this point here, I've been here probably for about 4, coming on 5 months. And there's no longer any visible metastases on the PET scan. And the primary tumor that I had in my rectum, it had gone from that big 5 centimeter mass to basically it's been reduced by over 95%. So there's the last little bit left to go. I'm staying for more treatment to make sure it gets nipped in the bud. But I'm just incredibly grateful. I had an amazing response, and Dr. Slocum right from the start was very, very confident that I would have a good response with my clinical situation. This place, ChemoThermia, it's just incredible. You get to meet some people that are, you get to meet a lot of people that are in the same boat. There's a lot of people that have got stage 4, who have had stage 4 cancer and are now in remission, and they're coming back for follow-up. Which is optional, but they choose to do that because they've had such a good experience here. Or there are people that are, stage 4 that are currently getting treated and they're having a really, really good response. You get to meet all of these people here, and it's just incredible. There's a sense of support from everybody that really helps you, recover well and know that you can do this kind of thing. And the people who work at ChemoThermia are just so incredible. The nurses here are all brilliant. The support staff that work here, they go out of their way to make your experience just the most easy, laid-back experience that it can be. Nothing is too much trouble for them. They pick you up and drop you off every day. They organize everything, and they're just like the most incredible people that you can meet. They're just such beautiful people. So I really have to credit them. The whole ChemoThermia team and Dr. Slocum, I have to credit them for saving my life. They are incredible. So I've had a really great experience here.